Because if we just kind of troll him without trolling him, we got him live, it would be epic.
The thing is, he's such a typical hypocritical liberal that because Francine's a lovely lady, must say, looking very nice.
Thank you.
He wouldn't give two fucks if you had a burning tattooed on your face, Chad. He'd be like, "Oh, look at she's hot."
Oh God, on your face, no doubt. Well, tell me the backstory on him. Like, what was the fall from grace? I know he exited the Stern Show. I think he was an announcer for was he an announcer for a late night series?
Tonight Show.
Tonight Show. Okay, so that's pretty popular. What happened with that?
Well, basically, when he signed up for Jay Leno, he got this like $2 million a year contract, so it was a dream job. But what Jay Leno didn't know, and that Stuttering John lied about, was that when Stuttering John would go do his interviews, the only input John actually had was asking the questions, because it was Jackie Martlin and Fred Norris who would write the questions. But Jay Leno was thinking, "Hey, Stuttering John, the funny guy, won't get him on the show." And they thought, "Oh, he's really going to change up our show," because the Tonight Show also, what happened in the middle of the film Irreversible, it's funnier than what happened on the Tonight Show. Go Wikipedia that one.
We'll take your word for it on that one. We don't know.
Yeah. So Jay Leno hated Stuttering John, realized this guy's not funny, thought that maybe we'll get a joke out of him by being the announcer for the Tonight Show because of his stutter. What then they came to learn is Stuttering John didn't have a stutter. He has a tail when he lies. So if you say to him, "So, Stuttering John, how's things going with your children?" "Oh, they look, we get along great." Instead of saying, "Oh, I haven't seen them in years."
So wait a minute, the whole stuttering thing was an act?
No, it was like a vocal tick when he lied.
When he lied, he would stutter.
Yeah, so it's
well,
not.
He lied a lot then, because he stuttered a lot on the show.
Yeah. Well, and I'm sure played it up at times, for the comedic aspect of it when it comes to the podcast. But it's embarrassing to see what this guy is.
Yeah, and the thing is, with his podcast, is this famous thing that made worldwide news, where somehow he was able to get Donald Trump's phone number for Air Force One, and Stuttering John pranked Donald Trump while he was literally in the air and had him on his podcast. It was like, "Hey, Donald Trump, is your refrigerator running?"
That's basically what it was.
Yeah, and it's like, so how do you go from a podcast that literally makes worldwide news, that somebody fucking got the president's phone number, to having to just completely a total downfall? Surely he would use that to get media deals and media appearances, but instead he's such an alcoholic head that nobody wanted to support him.
Wow. Well, that's pretty impressive, though, that he got the Donald Trump thing. That's impressive.
I mean, that is, because
where did he go from there?
It was a lot of I think it's well documented, like how he did it, right? And it also goes to show you the flaws of how some people could directly reach like a prominent figure like the president of the United States. Trump on the call is so like in lockdown mode of, "I'm the president, I'm just taking a call from said dignitary on the line, yada, yada, yada." But you would think you'd build off of that, and he's regressed in such a way. Now, Hughezy interviewed him a couple of years ago for his It's Hughezy Hello podcast. And there's a great story about their postscript about how Hughezy thought the interview was fine, whatever, and then Stuttering John decided to go in another direction with it.
So what happened?
He thought that I was, well, basically the backstory was he did an interview with this female comedian called Chrissy Mayer, and it could not have gone worse. Where she asked him a pretty fair question. She said, because she's a comedian and he does stand up, and she said, "Is Donald Trump good or bad for comedy?" Which is not a political question; it's a joke question. And he goes like, "Really, you want to ask me about Trump and all that?" And then she had asked him, "So I understand you dabble in stand up comedy." and that just set him off.
Apple.
Yeah, but that pissed him off so much that it's nearly 3 years later, and he's still talking about it.
Well, I guess he felt offended.
The postscript was he messages Hughezy to like double check that Hughezy wasn't trolling him during the interview when Hughezy's just doing the interview, asking the questions, but he's so paranoid over how he's being portrayed that he essentially, where Hughezy could have been like a low-key ally to him, like I'm sure Hughezy would have, you know, done like a double talk behind the scenes or something. He immediately went after him thinking he was a troll.
Wow.
Yeah, and he blocked me, and then he sent me a message over Facebook saying, "You're a..." Yeah, it's ridiculous, and but he's a mentally ill man. That's all. Like, but the real reason why people are just like to get him at the minute is, by the way, we're in the new "Get My Go" bottom right shirt. There you go. It's not only, but it's also quite comfortable.
Okay, wonderful.
Bleeping that from the mind of the Chadster, that T-shirt.
Yes, the mind of the Chadster.
Oh my God.
But so Stuttering John has bad financial problems. He's run out of all his Tonight Show money. He's had to sell his condo for a huge loss because he's going broke. So he faked a cancer charity.
No.
So that people would donate him money, and it's just such a convoluted process because it's like, oh no, send the money to me so that I can use it to help them privately. They want privacy, and then it's like, so they're privately having chemotherapy. They're privately going to see a doctor in a hospital. He's a liar. And
how much did he make?
Only a few thousand, because people are on to him. But the problem is with dumb liberals, as soon as they see something like that, or a bullied kid, some ugly kid, they go, "Oh, it's terrible. Here's $600." It's like, well, we'll find out why they bullied the kid in the first place. Do you remember that the video that came out years ago? Some ugly hick kid was crying about being bullied, and it turned out that he was a total racist who had punched the black kid and called him the N-word. Chad knows that word. I
remember
loads of times. Yeah, so kids, toughen up, little ugly freaks.
He's right, though. I mean, there's so many of those now that all you got to do is just like appeal to the mass group of people that get behind wanting to like look like white knights, and you can say whatever the hell you want. That kid, remember that little kid? He was like a little bald kid, very ugly. And the mom, "Oh, my son's bullied. Can LeBron James send him a autographed jersey?" It's like, come on.
Yeah, it's like even on YouTube where somebody goes, or Twitter, they're like, "I'm having a rough day. Some kind words would really help." At Barack Obama, at George Clooney, at
like
Bon Jovi.
It's those guys. It's those guys that we talked about when I came on the Get My Go show.
Yeah, another cancer figure. Yeah.
That's him.
It's true, because you get Stuttering John Wangland, and then we've got a cancer faking guy with them. It all comes together.
God.
That's exactly right. Yeah, when you did Get My Go, when we were talking about the cancer faker,
we only did half of it.
Exact same thing. We do have. Yes, I think you're pegged in for some point during this season 3. So,
can I ask a question? Getting back to Stuttering John, does he have a family? Is he married with children? And
well, he's divorced.
Okay,
and he now has 2 sons. Even though when they were born, one was female.
I see. Okay,
see,
that happens.
And not that it matters, but his wife left him for a Black Adam fan.
Okay, well, his wife caught on to his antics and couldn't take him anymore, I suppose.
Yeah, but the thing is that all these stories are coming out about. I don't know if you ever heard of a show called Radio Gunk, but there was serial cheating and affairs going on during the Stern Show days.
Oh no!
It's like, why would they bring in a porn star just for a 20-minute interview when instead they're after the show giving them a poke in the chicken, if you know what I mean?
So it was John?
Probably all of them were having.
Well, it was the culture of the show at that point in the 90s and early 2000s that the porn stars came in, and there was always the talk of the after parties and the things that were going on behind the scenes. But
Wow.
what I like to say, from my time working at the Stern Show, and it's just post John, I was literally there the year that John left, like right after he left, I started there. The mindset of those people is so warped because they get so locked in to being in that world, they can't kind of like undo their thinking. So Stuttering John still thinks it's the heyday of the Stern Show in his brain. Everything around him has moved on except for him, including Howard, which he can't get over the fact that Howard is just an old Jew now and just does wants to play chess and take pictures. He can't get over that. But the culture, what Hughezy's saying is that, yeah, there used to be porn stars. These guys were left and right, and that's the way the party atmosphere was.
Yeah, and that's the Stuttering John is exactly the same guy. He's basically, if you watch Cobra Kai,
I do.
He's the real life Johnny Lawrence, and that Stuttering John still drinks all the time. He's drunk all the time. He openly admits that he still uses cocaine. He's always hitting on women because back in the 90s, he could have got women easily because he's off the Stern Show. But now he's can't even get off the bus.
Good Lord.
The short bus or the regular bus?
This should be called the downfall of Stuttering John.
But that's where the subculture is. And that's why, again, I wanted Hughezy to come on to kind of explain this to you. There are, what's the number now, Hughezy? What are we up to? Like 7, 8 Stuttering John podcasts that are out there ripping him?
Yeah, it's just an endless supply. And plus, it's such a big thing at the minute that it instantly doubles your numbers. I literally just there at the time of recording got offered to go on Ray DeVito's podcast. I'm sure you're all a huge fan.
Ray DeVito, Tony DeVito.
Yeah. Oh, he sounds like one of them Japanese. So I'll be going on there to make fun of fucking Stuttering John. I love it, but hypocritically, cheap plug. On the last Get My Go, I haven't really been drinking much lately. I get pretty drunk pretty easily on like 5 beers. So
yeah, that was fun.
Wow. Well, by the way, we have to do another drink while you think. He just popped.
I would love to have Hughezy come on for that one too, because we'll be dead.
Would you like to come on and do a drink while you think?
Fucking love to. I'm back on it.
We'll plan that. I didn't know Stuttering John was still a thing. I have not heard his name in years. So I don't pay attention to the media too much, but I haven't heard anything about him. So this is quite depressing because I did like him back in the day.
Yeah,
think about how he feels.
But the thing is, it's actually because of him that I have a podcast with. Not that it's a giant audience, but like I did an interview with him just before the pandemic started, where it was when I had a really bad back injury and I'd just taken this brand new medication as the interview started, and as the interview went on, the pills kicked in and I was fucked up and I had a bad reaction to it. And it was so bad that he started sending it around to other comedians he knew. And they were
and you
like,
got over because you were high.
Yeah, and there's like, did this guy up his fucking mess? So because of that, it helped me get interviews with people like Jim Florentine and Jackie Martlin, former Stern Show guest.